you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular meeting. I will now call the meeting to order. The agenda is there before you. Can I have a motion to approve, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by Councillor Sadie King. Further discussion? All those in favour? Motion carried. Minutes of the meeting from April 29th. Are there any errors or omissions? Good. Business arising? Good. No correspondence. And now we'll move on to the updates, starting with planning and development. So we'll start with Deputy Mayor Woodford and Councillor Windsor.
Good evening, everybody. The Planning and Development Committee, we met on May 21st via Zoom with all committee members in attendance. Just a brief update. We really don't have an update on our town plan. It's still in the hands of our provincial department and for review. So once we have something back, we will certainly update the public on that. And our subdivision bylaws, which were approved at the last meeting, have been added to our website as well. So have a look for those. There were 11 applications reviewed during our meeting. 3 business applications, one that we are moving forward tonight. The 2 others require discretionary use ads because the business activity did not fall within the permitted use within the zone. And there were 8 residential applications reviewed and will be motioned tonight as well. Other than that, there is no other further update. I'll just ask my co-chair, Councillor Windsor, you have anything to add?
No, and with all these applications, I wouldn't want to keep you any longer.
Yeah, a lot of motions tonight, but that's great. It's great to see so many business applications and residential applications as well. So let's take these. So first is our permits. Everyone should have a copy of our permit listing there. Be it resolved to table and approve the attached permit listing. 18 permits were issued from April the 28th to May the 16th, 2025. Permit numbers 04-0142-25 to 05-0159-25 and includes permits for residential build, general repairs, paving, demolition, and fence. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Windsor. Further discussion? All those in favour? Motion carried.
The next is at 556A Conception Bay Highway. It's a residential build. The zone is RMD. Be it resolved to approve the above application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion? Straightforward application.
Residential application with everything received.
Okay, all those in favour? Count your motion is carried.
The next is at 394A Conception Bay Highway. This is in our town centre. It is a business application. It's an aesthetics salon. Be it resolved to approve the above application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Sadie King. Further discussion?
That application required a discretionary use ad, which went out. Yep. There was only one comment received on it. It was regarding parking. And the parking issue was already something that was discussed with economic development and planning and development. And the applicant provided a layout and sufficient parking, adequate parking is available there.
Yeah.
Okay.
In that zoning there of town centre, with the exception of residential, all other applications are to be considered discretionary use and shall be advertised for public input.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried.
The next is a residential build at 20 Healy's Road. The zoning is RMD. Be it resolved to approve the above application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Tilley. Further discussion? All those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried.
The next is another residential build at 5 Mountain Edge Drive. The zoning is RMD. Be it resolved to approve the above application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Bruce King. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
The next is a residential build as well, 105 to 107 Country Path. The zoning is RMD. Be it resolved to approve the above application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Sadie King. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor, motion carried.
The next is a residential build located at 6 Salmoneer Line. The zoning is RMD. Be it resolved, the application does not meet the development guidelines of the town and is therefore not recommended for approval. I'll just give a little brief on that. This application has 2 non-conforming items. So lot frontage and the square footage of the home. So you'll see there the minimum standards for lot frontage is 23 meters. The application is 19.998 meters. And the minimum floor area is 100 square meters. And the application is 89.9 square meters. So it did not even fall within a 10% variance either. So therefore we could not recommend that for approval. So moved.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Windsor. And bearing that, if we vote against it, the applicant can still come back and
Absolutely.
work with the Planning and Development Committee and the town to try to make this application work in accordance with our development
With the size of the lot
regulations.
and the proposed
Absolutely.
building on it,
So
yes.
just because it's turned down once, that don't mean that's the end of the game. That's the end of it, right? Okay, any other questions, comments? All those in favor to reject this motion? Motion is carried.
The next is for a residential build. The location is 90 to 92 Duffs Road. The zoning is RMD. Be it resolved to approve the above application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Tilley. Further discussion? All those in favor? Those against? Motion is carried.
The next is another residential build, 31 Northside Road. The zoning is mixed development. Be it resolved to approve the above application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by Councillor Windsor. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor, motion is carried.
At 24 O'Rourke's Road, the proposal is a residential build. The zoning is RMD. Be it resolved to approve the above application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Tilley. Further discussion? All those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
The next is the location is Horizon Drive. It's a Crown Land referral for a 70 by 40 and 40 by 46. Industrial General is the zoning. Be it resolved to approve the above Crown Land referral, application number 164001, in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Bruce King. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
And I am done. It's like I'm saying my prayers up here.
Well, I got to say that, this is a fabulous night here as we, at the start of the summer with all of these residential developments. And I just did some notes here this afternoon as to how I feel about things. We got to keep in mind that in 2021, 2022, the COVID area, the inflation rate was at 6.78%. Today, it's at 1.98%, which is lower than the normal threshold of 2%. So we're actually below. So inflation is under control. Then the overnight lending prime rate in 2022, 2023 was approximately 7%. And the current mortgage rates today are approximately 4.5%, depending what bank you're dealing with. That's a big drop in interest rates. So add to that, in our last budget, we cut and reduce several rates and fees in our last budget. I think when you throw all that in there, that has somewhat of an impact as well. So I think, with all of these factors, I think this is restoring and renewing, confidence in residential development. And I've noticed that homes here in the Holyrood area, over the past couple of months, you see a sign for sale, and come back a week later, sold sign. And as fast as homes now are going on the market for sale, they're being sold. So I think that's, I think that this is a clear indicator right now at this point in our history, with everything that has evolved since COVID and the high interest rates, high inflation. We're back to some sense of normalcy, and I think that has brought back consumer or confidence in potential residential developers. So I think things are now on the uptick, which is a very good indicator as we start the summer months. So great news. Great news. Okay, with that said, we will move on to recreation and community events. Councillor Tilley and Councillor King.
Good evening. A recreation meeting was held on May the 27th. In attendance were Mayor Gubby, CAO Marjorie, Director of Recreation Kyle Hocko, and myself. Councillor Tilley sent her regrets. First of all, I'd like to commend Andrew for the great job he's doing as planning coordinator and organising events for our summer programs. Kyle attended the rec conference in Grand Falls from April the 29th to May the 2nd and had a lot of good information brought back concerning recreation. For anyone who attends these conferences, they know that they give people a great opportunity to network with other towns and see what they are doing and where we can improve on what we are doing. The summer activity guide has been put in the mailboxes. If you take a good look at it, you will see something for all ages, starting with Camp Ahoy. Registration begins on May the 21st at 6 p.m. online. The opening date for Holy Cross Park is June the 30th, and some improvements are being made up there. The soccer program registration was from May the 12th to the 30th, also online. And we have Tim Hortons partnering with the town to supply uniforms, shorts, socks, etc. For the U4 and U6 age group. The 2-hour tidy, which is coming up June the 13th to the 15th. We have kits here at the town for anyone who's going to go out and help clean this town up. You can also put your name in for a prize at the end. So I would encourage people to get out and get our town cleaned up. We want to keep a tidy town. And right now there's a lot of public places where there's some garbage that need to be picked up. So if everyone would try to get out and just do it a little bit, we could have a tidier town. Canada Day will be held at Holy Cross Park on July the 1st with the usual activities. Holyrood Day will move to Wednesday, July the 30th, and will be celebrated at Holy Cross Park from 1 to 3. And if you're interested in what activities are there, you can go to your guide. Squid Fest dates, once again, July the 16th to the 20th. If you're interested in finding out what bands are there, go to the guide. Our community garden, if people notice, there's been a lot of work done. Some great fencing,
Beautiful
new
fencing.
boxes.
Beautiful fencing.
Absolutely beautiful. And most of the plots are gone. I was talking to Andrew this morning. We only have 6 or 7 left. The composter program is up and running. There's been a great success so far. There's only a few left, so if people need them, they better get out now and get them, or they won't be getting them, that's for sure, not this year. Once again, I want to refer everybody to the summer guide. If you go through the guides, you will notice not only a lot of activities, but a lot of council facts there. Like it talks about assessments, it talks about our Vine program, and that seems like a really successful thing for our town because we're getting a lot of good comments on it. It also gives you the calendar for the hours at the museum. A lot of good things in that. So people really need to take this and really go through it very carefully. A lot of information. So I'm just asking everybody, read your guides and get out and enjoy. Thank you.
Okay, great stuff. And certainly kudos to our recreation committee and the our recreation staff for putting all this together, because as I said before, all this stuff takes time, a lot of planning, a lot of coordination. And then after all that's done, now we're into Squid Fest, and that's more planning. So it's,
maybe Councillor Tilly might have something?
I apologize.
You covered all bases. Oh, not bad. Any comments at the end? Not good.
Okay. All right, any other questions or comments on recreation before we move on? All right, we'll move on now to infrastructure and public works. So we have Councillor King and Councillor Windsor.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Infrastructure and Public Works Committee met on May 15th. Before I touch on some of the update items, and there is one motion, I would like to note for everybody that May 18th to the 24th was National Public Works Week. So that's just passed us by, just the timing of the meeting. But certainly want to give a huge shout out to all of our staff in Public Works for everything they do. They work very hard, they're very responsive. When they see something, when someone sees something, they say something, and then they fix it. And, you know, especially this as we transition out of one season into another, there's a lot of work orders, a lot of activity happening. So I think it's very good timing. That's probably why that week was selected as we come out of the spring and into the summer, right? So keep doing a great job. We really appreciate it. Just wanted to put that out there for all.
Here, here.
Okay. The motion will get to in a moment. This is around the sewer project, and that goes back to 2021, and it is a change order for additional engineering costs for valid reasons, and we'll talk about that now in a moment. RFQs have been posted on our social media channels and appropriate portals for the services of street sweeping, line painting, and roofing improvements to the fire hall and the heritage center. Another project update, as everyone can see, including the nosy councillors and mayor at the festival grounds, myself included, the project is well underway. A lot of close collaboration between the town, the contractor, and the consultant. The committee did discuss a few safety concerns around that time, and we were so pleased to see that the staff had already engaged with the contractor and the consultant were working together to update their safety plan in real time as their project phases were changing. If you go down there any day, things
You
are
haven't been down there
different,
lately
and
because
I
we've
have
been
not.
told not to.
No, I've watched from afar. There's a lot of activity there, right? All the boaters going to the marina now, they're getting their boats out.
Yep.
So that coupled with the mayor and myself going down, and lots of other interested people in the public, creates a lot of traffic
It does.
and risk with the safety. So just want to let the public know that, you know, if you don't need to go down there, try not to go down there, because we're not. We've stopped doing that. Admire from afar, we'll say. But everyone is working very safely, and the work is progressing very well in accordance with the design, which is excellent to see.
Good.
And the last item, actually, is a short one for tonight. We're reviewing and updating cost estimates and priorities for future potential paving improvements. What the committee talked about was that that's something that we should be doing on a regular basis, not sitting it on the shelf and blow the dust off it every few years. On an annual basis for council to continually reassess what the costs are, what the priorities are, so we can make the sound decisions. So that's something we talked about, and staff has done an excellent job of. So that's that. Now, the motion, I will read it, and we can talk about it if you like. I think it's quite defensible and agreeable. Be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood approve change order number 1 for project number 17-GI 22-00037 sewer upgrades in the amount of 47,000. This is a typo here. $794. $47,794. This change order reflects the scope of work change from upgrades to treatment. Therefore, additional engineering was required for design and obtain an environment permit. Once the scope of work was expanded, the engineering requirement became greater and required more design work, as well as more professional interaction and exchange of information from those within industry and the federal and provincial government. So basically what happened here, you know, you started the project in 2021. Fast forward to 2025, rules, regulations change, different interface points that your people you're dealing with in the provincial government and the federal government change, and they get involved. That generates more meetings, more discussion, and more engineering work, and engineering consultant to bring in subject matter expertise and additional opinions to ensure that it's done correctly and in full environmental compliance. That's very important. Cannot take any shortcuts on that sort of thing. So it's quite valid, the work that had to be done by the consultant. I don't know if you have any questions on that.
No, I just, you said it went back to 2021.
That was the project initiation.
So, look at all the things that can change in that period of time, environmental and government and everything else, right?
And it is an aging piece of infrastructure.
Yeah.
And that requires a little bit more,
Certainly, and it needs to get done. We all know that.
Yeah.
Right? And it needs to get done right.
now. And,
So,
yep.
yeah.
And
So
I think
moved.
we're on the right path in doing it properly, and our CAO, our Director of Public Works, the engineers, municipal affairs, there's, the committee, there's a lot of people involved in making sure that this project, like you said, is going to be done correctly.
I think it was really good that the engineering consultant that we have engaged with on this project throughout went outside of their organization to obtain third-party subject matter expertise, because it's a very specialized type of engineering.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Any other questions or comments? All right, it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against, motion is carried.
And that is all that the committee had for this evening. Has I missed anything, Councillor King? Satisfied with that?
Who
Okay,
seconded that
thank
motion?
you all. I did. I think we might have missed that.
I think we missed it.
We moved, okay, a mover.
Well, Steve moved.
Steve moved, I need a seconder. Councillor Bruce King. Okay, thanks for that. The CAO just gave me that look. She said, who seconded? We've got that many motions going on here tonight. I mean, you got to forgive me because sometimes you don't.
That check might bounce. Right? Protocol.
There you go.
I wouldn't write it.
Okay, thank you very much, folks, for that update. And now we'll move on to economic development. Deputy Mayor Woodford.
Good evening again, everybody. The Economic Development Committee, we did not meet since the last public meeting, so we're just going to give a little brief update. There were 3 new business applications that were reviewed over the past month, all of which went to planning and development, which were reviewed and actioned accordingly through our motions and discussion tonight. Our CAO also met with the Marine Institute and partnering with or hosting a business awareness night in sometime, hopefully in late August, with the intent to increase economic activity here in the ocean sector in the town. So I guess as the information comes in, those details will go out to the public. There was also discussion on shared messaging and engaging a representative to support the national, well, the local as well, national and international messaging in relation to the ocean sector and the marine base here in Holyrood, the launch, and the town of Holyrood, and what that looks like, what's available here. The OHI contract with ACOA, and that's our Oceans Holyrood initiative, that needs to be renewed, so we're in the early stages of looking at that. And as well, we need to revisit the recommendations of our consultant on the rural transit funding, because we all met with our consultant in the first piece that he provided. We had some questions at the time that he was going to go back and get us some answers to, so we need to revisit that again and how we move forward with that. Other than that, that's it for economic development.
Got it all covered off. Okay, now we'll move on to public safety, and we have Councillor King and Councillor Tilley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. The Public Safety Committee had our meeting on the 5th of May, and those people in attendance was our CAO, our Fire Chief, Trevor Rideout, Councillor Tilley, myself, and the Mayor sent his regrets. Some of the things that we discussed that's probably getting a lot of air on news and that lately is ATVs. Okay? Every time you turn on the news now, there's been people caught with ATVs, traffic and stuff like that. There was an incident down in Torbay on the Bowling line the other day where a young fella, 14 years old, passed a school bus with the red lights flashing, hit a child, and the 14-year-old was charged, and so was his father. Okay? So we keep talking about people, you know, if you give a kid that's underage a vehicle and something happens, you are responsible. You are responsible for whatever happens, and it's a pretty hefty cost. So we continuously tell people, you know, don't go giving these machines to a kid and letting them go off doing whatever they want, because it could have disastrous consequences. Okay? So we're keeping pressure on that. We will discuss it every opportunity that we get, and we will keep it up. We talked about the traffic camera program, and the recommendation was that our CEO would contact the transportation and see if we can be one of the communities that participate in the traffic camera program. The other important thing that was discussed was forest fires. Okay? We've had 2 or 3 horrific fires in the past little while. One here in just outside of Holyrood, and the other one down in Adams Cove. And if you ever got a chance to drive down there and have a look around and see what happened down there, it is absolutely devastating. And the stuff that can, you know, you don't realize the consequences of burning grass and stuff on a very dry day, and the wind getting out of hand. And the other thing that people really don't is, and I'm not picking on the people that smoke, because years ago, I mean, I know probably the Deputy Mayor can remember back when there was ashtrays in the car. Mm-hmm. There is no ashtrays in the car anymore. So what do people do now? They flick them out the window, right?
You're saying I'm old.
No, I'm not. No, I'm doing that. I retract that part.
I think he's saying that you're throwing cigarette butts out the window.
She doesn't smoke. But and all jokes aside, you gotta be conscious of what you're doing, right? And I know the fire chief is out there. He's trying to sort out with regards to regulations and when the fire ban is going to be into effect and when it's not. And he's trying to coordinate all of those things with all the other fire departments within the region. So, nobody's saying, well, why does Holyrood have a fire ban on and CBS doesn't? So when the fire ban goes on, it should be able to cover all of the different communities. Right? So more to follow on that one. And getting to the part about the cigarette butts and burning your lawn, this is a comment that came from the deputy fire chief in Victoria when they went down to Adams Cove. Okay, and this is what he said in his remarks. The sight of panicked bystanders fleeing, begging, "Save my house," while black smoke and towering flames consume the landscape is something that will stay with me forever. So people need to be conscious of the fact of the consequences of what happens when something as simple as flicking a cigarette butt out the window or burning the grass in the backyard. We had a meeting on the 12th of May with the commissioner, the assistant commissioner of the RCMP, Pat Cal, and two of his senior staff, and we discussed a variety of issues, including patrols, vandalism, and all the other different things that people find disturbing when it comes to crime. And they have given us the guarantee that they're going to try harder to try to enforce the laws, trying to catch people that are breaking the law, but they have limited resources as well, right? And one of the things that they talked about was, if you want to help the RCMP, it's very simple. Write a letter to the Minister of Public Safety, basically saying the RCMP needs more people and they need better equipment. And if anybody watched the throne speech today in Ottawa, there was a reference made in the throne speech with regards to increasing by another 1,000 RCMP officers to go back to the street. So everything is coming forward. And one of the surveys that were online today on VOCM was they had a survey and they asked people, do you feel safer today than you did 5 years ago? And 73% of those surveyed said they don't feel safer today than what they were 5 years ago. So that should say quite a bit. And the other one that we had the radon test kits. And the CAO and myself participated in a online orientation. So we will get 100 radon test kits, probably October, November. And once we get them, we will notify residents even before we get them. And there's a process that you have to follow when you get them, right? And we encourage people that if you're going to get it, participate. Don't go and get one because you're a little bit of a crow and you like shiny objects and you want these things. Make sure that you're going to actually use it, because it takes about 100 days. Once it comes back, right? For example, I'll use Councillor Windsor because he's right. If he gets a kit, okay, he will take it home. He will put it in. It'll be with a piece of paper and directions where the best place to put it in your house. And within 100 days, he will be notified. He will bring it back to the town office. They will be all packed up as a group. They will be sent back to the lab. They will be analyzed, but only Councillor Windsor will get the results from his home. And that applies to everybody else. The only thing that the town will get is a percentage. They will say, out of the 100 test kits that went out, 60% showed high levels of radon, but then it's up to you. If your house is fine, that's fine. If it's not, then there's also mitigation with regards to, there is funding available through different organizations. Lungs Matter, for example, they could give you a grant of up to $1,500 to help in the mediation of your house. And some, depending on what it is and how much renovation's got to be done, it could be up to roughly about $3,000. Okay, so more to follow on that one later on. Okay, and I will turn it over to Councillor Tilley.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councillor Windsor. Councillor Windsor. Let's try that again. Thank you, Councillor King.
And you never sounded lips move.
And he was really good. I guess I just wanted to add a little 2 cents on about the forest fire as well. Fires that are going on across the province. Again, 4 days, in a matter of 3 or 4 days, we had 4 fires burning. I think the Councillor King already advised about being cautious, but I want to give kudos out to the Voyant Alert system. That was phenomenal. It's really a great asset to have there, to know that the people were seeing smoke, they were wondered, they were concerned. People who had registered, again, even as I stress, even if you only want emergency services only, you got the notification and keeping you updated on the fire that was outside of the residents in Holyrood, and just keeping it updated. Also wanted to touch base a little bit on, unfortunately, I've been a part of many disasters that have happened, and several with fires. It's very important that we kind of do a little look around our house and just do a little stock on things that if the that Voyant Alert message was that we needed to leave our home, that we know what's near and dear to our hearts that we'd want to take. Again, you can go in under the government site and you can see some things that you should have ready on hand. If you have small kids, you're going to want to have any medications, foods. If you have infants, you're going to want formulas and diapers. You're going to want to make sure you have your own medications, a bit of cash. Now, I'm not telling everybody to go, take all cash and stick it underneath your mattress, but it's nice to have a little bit of cash, some battery packs for your cell phone, some items like that. But the big thing too that I also want to stress is that if that Voyant Alert had come out and said you need to evacuate your home, please remember that home is only made out of wood. Do not be, no, I am not leaving this house, I'm not leaving my things, I will be okay. So I'm sure there's a lot of people in Adams Cove that thought the same when they got up that morning, that nothing is going to happen to me. And then they came back with nothing but a chimney and a deep freeze. So again, very important to please go in on the app if you haven't already or you're a little bit hesitant. It's not a gimmick, it's a thing that's great. I was actually out of the province with work, and I was sitting in a conference, and all of a sudden I got a text message and a phone call, and I went, okay, what's on the go? Didn't even know there was a forest fire in Holyrood, but it was great to keep me informed. I never had to worry about my anything that was in my house, most importantly my pets, because everything else, what odds, it's all replaceable. But it was very great to know it was there, and again, kudos to the council and for the staff for making sure the Voyant Alert is something that's available for us. But other than that, I think that's all I have to add.
Emergency preparedness is so important, We often talk about emergency preparedness in the wintertime. For when you get the ice storms, and when you get the major snowstorms, and the power could go down for several days, and there's things there in your kit that you need to have on ready. Put it in a little plastic box, you know what's there, and regardless if the power goes at 3 o'clock in the morning, you can go down in the dark and you know where that kit is to. Medication, stuff for children, there's a whole gamut, extra batteries, flashlights, you have everything there rather than trying to go all around the house and look for this and look for that, and especially if you're left in the dark, and if you don't have a generator on the ready, you could be in the dark for several hours. And the same applies in the summertime. We've all seen the horrific, the what happened in Adams Cove, the destruction that was done so quickly without warning. And people were really fleeing their homes with nothing, only clothes on their back. Lost everything, family portraits and all the things in life that you accumulate that mean so much, all gone to a pile of rubble. Thankfully, there was no loss of life. That's the big thing, first and foremost. But people never had time to prepare. They never had time to say, well, I'm going to go around now and get this and get that and everything else. Because, what we've heard in the stories that were shared, from residents, they said, I had minutes to flee and get out of there. And what you got, you've got. And what you've lost, you've lost. So I guess the message that I'm adding to the Public Safety Committee is that everyone needs to be prepared for all seasons, because we never know what can happen in this province at any time. We could go through April month when there's not a blade of snow down, and all of a sudden we get freezing rain and ice storms, which we've had in the past, and wires come down and we're days without power. In the wintertime, massive snowstorms. In the summertime, the threat of forest fires. So it can happen at any time on a minute's notice. And I think the Public Safety Committee has been doing a great job on several occasions in giving out friendly reminders to residents. You know, have your things together and do your checklist and be on the ready. And that'll give everybody in the family a peace of mind, because everybody in the family will know that this safety kit is there under the stairs, out of harm's way. We know it's hands-on. So that's my 2 cents. Any other questions or comments? Okay, if not, we will move on to communications. I extend apologies, regrets from Councillor Crowley, who could not be here tonight due to other obligations. So we will have Deputy Mayor Woodford give that communications update.
So the Communications Committee, we met on May the 15th with Councillor Crawley, our CAO Marjorie Gibbons, Director Carl Hocko, and myself in attendance. Councillor Sadie King sent her regrets. She couldn't make it the meeting. First and foremost, we talked about the Voyant alert system. So to build on Councillor Tilley's piece, our director provided us with enrollment update. At the time of the meeting, there were 380 enrolled, which is a far cry from the number of residents in our town.
But it's growing.
But still, we're building on it, and we will continue. The Communications Committee will continue to bring it, the issue to the table. The importance of signing up for Voyant, as Councillor Tilley has already stated, is even for emergency purposes. We're looking at it for all aspects of communication within the town, but for emergency purposes only. Let's go back to that wildfire at Butterpot. I was coming in the highway from work, and I was seeing this bellowing cloud, and it was massive. And as I got closer to Holyrood, I thought something had exploded in Holyrood. That's how massive that was. But I had gotten, on my way home, I had gotten that alert. And, and we gotten several alerts throughout that day informing us of what was happening. So, you're getting it in real time. So the importance of signing up for that is that information is going out to you in real time. As the town is receiving that information, they are taking that information and they're sending it out in an alert. So if you need to go and do something at the last minute, you're prepared. You got that information, you can process that information, you have more time. Yes, we will continue to post on our social media sites, but you physically have to go in and you have to scroll and you have to find that information. Whereas this alert system, if you're signed up and your notifications are on your devices, that's one thing, your notifications have to be on, you are getting it in real time so that you can respond accordingly. So it's really important. We're going to continue to do a little campaign on social media to continue to encourage all of our residents to sign up. It's very easily done. Very easily done. As well, we discussed about, during our last public meeting, we put a motion in to deactivate the Twitter X, whatever it's called now, account. That was completed as well. Other than that, we did also discuss confidentiality, the need for confidentiality or increased awareness, I guess, amongst our staff and our council when dealing with privileged information and sensitive matters. And that's something that, we've talked about ever since we, came on council, because, things changed with code of conduct and things like that. So it's just bringing awareness and reminders to our staff and to all of council that confidentiality needs to be kept in those when dealing with that type of information. And, we'll, as a communications committee, we may send out little notices to say, just a reminder, that needs to be, we just need to be, aware of it again and conscious of it, because it does relate back to our communications policy and our code of conduct. Other than that, I don't think there was anything else that I'm missing. And in lieu of Councillor Crawley not being here, I hope that was, I hope I covered everything that happened at the meeting. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions, comments? All good? All right. Councillor King, in the absence of Councillor Crawley, you can pay the bills and give us an update on the accounts.
Broke. The corporate services had had our meeting on May 22nd. Those people in attendance was our CEO, Marjorie Gibbons, our Director of Finance, Mary Cyril, and myself, and Councillor Crowley sent her regrets. Just the financial update, and we're looking, this is receivable as of January, May 21st of this year. Property taxes right now are at 68.85%, comparable to last year, which is good. The water tax is at 57.37%, comparable to last year. Business tax 74.66%, comparable to last year. The fire service tax is at 61.84%, a little bit lower, but I'm sure over the coming months that will catch itself up. Right now, as it stands now, we have about 39% of the year completed as of May 15th. All departments are below 35% of their spending, except for environmental health, which is showing 65%. And the reason for that is because we have paid off our garbage collection fees in full, rather than wait and breaking it down over payments over the year, which is excellent. So the other thing I need to remind people is the water and sewer taxes due on the 31st of May, right? And the bulk garbage, okay? People have to understand that it's paid for, okay? So if you leave it behind the shed, or you put it in your truck and you drive it to the dump, you're burning your own money when somebody can come and actually pick it up by your driveway. So, you know, I think last year was 66 people participated in the bulk garbage cleanup, which is not very many when you consider the number of households that we have here. So people need to understand it's paid for, so you should use it. And I think that's all I have for the update. We're good?
Oh yeah, we're just waiting now for you to pay the bills. You got a couple of motions there.
I think my Visa card is in the other pocket. We just have a couple of motions here to go. First one, the accounts. Be it resolved, those accounts tabled in the amount of $244,719.89. Check numbers D4759 to D4809 and 46968 to 47058 be approved for payment from general accounts. So moved.
Moved by Councillor King, seconded by Deputy Mayor Woodford. Further discussion? All those in favor? Motion is carried.
And our bank book balance as of today is $32,442.79.
In the black.
And the last motion is be it resolved that the Town of Holyrood accept the recommendation of the hiring committee and hire William Hyde as a seasonal laborer with the Department of Public Works. The selection committee reviewed and scored the submitted resumes and conducted interviews. Once the scoring was tabulated, William was the highest scorer. Thank you for all those that applied. So moved.
Moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Windsor. Further discussion? And we want to congratulate all applicants, and we certainly congratulate Mr. Hyde on being the successful candidate, and we wish him all the very best in working with our other staff throughout the season. Okay. All those in favor? Those against, motion is carried. That is the agenda. New business, we'll do the go-around, starting with Deputy Mayor Woodford.
Nothing for me this evening, sir.
Nothing. Councillor King.
We're not leaving here tonight until Councillor King tells us where our fishing site is. You should bring your sleeping bag. Just a couple of points. We had the M&L symposium there the first week of May, and I'm not going to go through because everybody has all the presentations. But one of the things that came up that I found very interesting, and I'm sure probably those people that looked at it as well, had to do with housing. Housing was a very big topic across all the municipalities, and they're finding innovative ways today to try to keep people in their own homes and trying to cut down on the cost. And one of the things that they looked at is when you're building a house and you're planning on staying there forever, like some people are, you have to think down the road, especially if you're in your 60s or your 70s or your 80s, and a house that's 2 stories. Because a lot of people that are older don't want a house that's 2 stories, right? They like everything being on the ground level. So a lot of municipalities now are communicating with developers and real estate people and all those to try to make houses that are more compatible with a bigger group of people. One of the other things that they looked at is encouraging people to have an apartment. And the apartment can serve for various reasons. One, if you have older parents and you don't want to put them in a home, then maybe they can live in a granny flat or a ground level apartment. The other one that they looked at, which is I think is really important, is kids are getting out of school today, and a lot of them have a mountain of debt, right? Depending on what courses that they took in school. And to try to find a house that's $350,000, $400,000 is way out of their budget range. So by having an apartment, in with mom and dad or whoever, gives them that extra breathing space to be able to save up a few dollars and maybe for a mortgage on a home. So there's a lot of interesting things being done through the housing industry and stuff like that. And the last one is the municipal election is on the 2nd of October, and M&L has been given by the government $250,000 to promote getting people out to vote, for one, and getting people interested in running for municipal office. Because at the M&L symposium in Gander, the average age out there, believe it or not, was in the late 60s into the mid 80s. Actually, there was a gentleman sitting next to me, he was 80 years old, right? So the point that they're trying to get across is very simple. If we don't start getting more people interested in municipal government, these people are not going to live forever. And once they go, if there's nobody coming in to replace them, they won't have a municipal government. So they're encouraging younger people and those that are capable of being interested in municipal government to put their name forward. We don't have this problem here because all of us are in our 30s and 40s, so we're good for another 20 or 30 years. So anyway, the biggest thing is encouraging people to get out and vote, because there is going to be a provincial election sometime between now and I think the 13th of October. I think that's the designated day, but who knows when it's going to happen. So anyway, we're going to encourage people to get out and vote and encourage people to run for public office. It's a great bit of fun. Thank you.
I hope the provincial election is not going to conflict with the municipal election, especially after Canadians just going through this federal election and a leadership and then a provincial leadership. Now we're going into an election, like voter fatigue. And it seems like we're on the same trajectory for the timing of this, but it looks like there's strong possibilities I can see it, unless something changes. But In most likelihood, you're going to see a provincial election same time as municipal election coming up, and I've got some troubles with that. I think that maybe it's time that MNL have a look. Now, I'm just throwing this out in a very general, because I thought about this. You know, September is a very not problematic, but it's not a good month for municipal elections. And I'll tell you why. Number one, we know, I mean, it's obvious that the province is struggling right now in trying to encourage younger people in the community to come forward and seek election for municipal office. These are young people with small families, young families. So here they are, we're going into a municipal election, you know, in September. It's back to school time. It's time when, you know, it takes a good month, 2 months to get their children settled in. It could be, the child could be settling into a new school, you know, or obviously going to a different grade, different friends. They probably moved. There's a lot of things happening here. On top of that, and we've all gone through this. You've experienced it, so nobody knows this, what I'm saying, any better than you guys. But then, just after the election, you're going expected to go in and start preparing for the upcoming budget. Now, if you got 3 or 4 new councillors around the table, you know what I mean, they don't even know where the offices are to at that point. And they're expected within weeks to sit down, you know, and get their heels wet on how committees work. Having to do a gamut now of courses through MNL, Code of Conduct, and the list goes on and on. There was one course we had to do one day when it was a full day, and it was doing it on Zoom. So before these new candidates even get their feet wet, they got to go through all of this, get their feet wet on municipal governments, the rules, the regulations, going into a new budget, preparing that for a couple of months. Like, there's a lot of responsibility and expectation placed on new councillors. And I think the timing of this, and it seems now with the provincial and federal elections now with their 5-year, you know, every 5 years, it seems like everybody's on the same path for the same time for these elections. So if you were to, you know, and this is food for thought for down the road, that maybe it needs to be discussed further at MNL, but I think it would make more sense to have a municipal election, say in April or May, when, you know, when there's no time constraints, the budget is already down, you have time to breathe and navigate around how municipal council works, rather than diving in, because I know what we went through. New contracts for management contracts, union contracts, preparing the budget, doing all these courses. We had all this thrown at us within a few short months, just as everybody was elected. It's a lot. So if you're a young person considering running for council and you got two children home, probably a child and a youth, you know, there's a lot of responsibility at that level. And then throw all this at. So there's a lot of things to consider here. And I think timing is everything. But I've thought about this, and I mentioned this in the past years ago. I said, September is the worst time of the year. Anybody out campaigning is another thing. It's hurricane season. It's the worst time for weather for out campaigning. I've gone through it multiple times when I had to go at 3 o'clock in the morning, haul down signs because of the winds blowing. Not ideal conditions, and expect people to open up their doors in a rainstorm and have a chat with you. So there's a whole list of reasons why, you know, some consideration at some point by, you know, through a round table discussion to flush this out to determine whether September is really the best month for municipal elections, or if it should be moved to early in the spring when the weather breaks, you know, and everybody got time to breathe and take the time and get through it all. Anyway, didn't mean to digress, but it was something that I've been thinking about for quite some time, and Bruce brought it up, so I'll leave it at that. Okay, Councillor Till, you're good? Councillor King, Councillor Windsor, you can wrap it up. No, further here. You're good? Okay. All right, folks, that is the agenda. Date of next meeting is June 24th at 6 p.m. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Windsor. All those in favour? Meeting is adjourned.